8 elite takes after the Browns wrap up March, just from Sports Illustrated. Number 1, somehow Nick Chubb is going to play in 2024. Casey, I would be stunned if Nick Chubb did not play in 2024. I don't think I would guess that he will start the season physically unable to perform, but I'd be stunned if we don't see 24 in the backfield some for the Browns.
Which speaks to the character that Chubb is, because most people, when you'd see that knee injury and then find out it's the second devastating knee injury, to that exact same knee, you would have pause. But it's Nick Chubb we're talking about. He's putting in the work. He's going to give it his all to get back on the field and get back to the top level he possibly can. And I'm with you. If Nick Chubb doesn't take a carry in 24, I would lose my house. I'd bet everything on it.
All right, Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski are the perfect union of football philosophies. I can't wait to see that. I've said this a number of times. I talked to a lot of people at the Combine. Ken Dorsey is a pretty good offensive coordinator, and they described him as a good to borderline great quarterback coach, which I think is exactly what Deshaun Watson needs.
Yeah, it's a massive need for the team. It's a massive need for Stefanski, so he didn't have to be hands-on in every approach. And he can kind of, corral everything together, but you have someone in Dorsey that you can trust to handle that room and to be the voice. And it's also a juxtaposition of attitudes, because could you even envision a world where Kevin Stefanski's freaking out, breaking his tablet, over the outcome of the game? No. But you need that. You need that fire and ice type combination, and Dorsey gives you that in juxtaposition to Stefanski.
And it certainly worked with Jim Schwartz on the defensive side of the ball last year. So, all right, number 3, Jerry Jeudy, perfect addition to this offense for the Browns. The more you look at Jeudy in initial thing, I'm like, he's kind of redundant to Elijah Moore, and that's not true.
Yeah, I hope this is true. I hope we look back and it's like, man, that's exactly what they needed. And you can envision it just from the skill set. That it's what excites me more, what he gives you than what Moore is able to give you. Is he's a little bigger of a body, but he gives you more after the catch. He gives you more strength and physicality. He's slippery, and he has the speed that he can also break away. And I just think that by putting him in this offense, you're going to allow Elijah Moore to get on the outside more, where I think he can do more damage. So it kind of moves everything around to where I think you have more stable depth at each position, and he gives you another playmaker on the field, which you can never have enough of those.
All right, number 4, they say build a dome. And I've said this a number of times. It's only 8 to 10 events. If you redo the stadium on the lakefront and it's $1 billion, or you build one away from it, that lakefront property should be extremely valuable. Other Great Lakes cities have built and made that a hub where you bring things that are more than 8 or 10 dates. So dome makes the most sense. Redevelop the lakefront and make it a destination that is a destination year-round.
Yeah, I'm team dome. I don't think there's any point in, remodeling a stadium and not putting a dome on it. You're on a lake. In theory, it was flawed from the beginning. They kind of painted themselves in a corner. It's hard to get in and out of there. The weather obviously is its own, additional thing, and there's no room for growth. You move the stadium to an area it's easier to get to. It's easier to travel next to an airport. You build a dome, build the whole Brownstown around it, Hall of Fame, restaurants, hotels, the whole 9, have a good transportation system, and then you can build the lakefront up and connect it to your downtown for other things.
All right, number 5, I'll miss Joe Flacco, but it doesn't really matter, and we'll also do number 6 here. The AFC North is good, and it should say is really good. Flacco, it was a great story, but it doesn't mean you need a second, it doesn't mean it needs a part 2. And the North is the best division in football, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, the Flacco thing is going to be a moment in time. We'll be able to look back on that fondly 4 or 5 years from now. It is just a moment in time. I don't think that's something you need to hold on to season after season, thinking what would have happened if. But the North, you said it, man. The division is not good. It is great. It is the best division in football. You know, you can win 12 games and still lose 3 in your division. That's how good this division is. It's highly competitive top to bottom, and it's there's at least 3 teams that are Super Bowl contenders in the same division. You don't have that in any other division in football, and unfortunately, it's the division you play in. But you take your lumps, man. We've been on the bottom of it for so long. It feels good to be in the competition side of it now. That upper end.
Again, this is from Sports Illustrated. Number 7, I'm so excited to have first-round pick again in 2025. Okay. I would prefer it to be really late. I didn't like the top 10, top 15 picks in the first round. I'd much rather be talking about home playoff games than the first round of the draft.
Yeah, you want to be picking in that bottom third, preferably 32. That's the spot you're all aiming for. But just going from 3 years of not having it, we're not going to know what to do with ourselves. Getting to talk about all these upper elite prospects, we're digging through the weeds. We're flipping over stones looking for value. So to get in that first round again, that'll be different for us.
You know what? In Andrew Berry, we've given him enough credit. He's done a nice job. You got Emerson, you got Jones. Those are guys that you're going to look to extend when you need to. That's third-round pick and a fourth-round pick that have been starters and will be. All right, number 8, the final one of this. Hammer the Browns over 8.5 wins. That's the Vegas betting line. Yeah, I think that's kind of low as well. It is a tougher schedule without question, but 8.5 seems low to me.
That feels like their floor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like middle of the road. It could go either way. It feels like if everything went wrong, you only got 8 wins. Which just think of where we've come from here. You go back to 17 and you had nothing, and 7 wins would feel like a triumph. To the point where 9 wins is disappointing. It shows you how far we've came up in levels. But I agree, you hammer that over. I expect that to go up incrementally before we get to the beginning of the season. I won't be surprised if that's at 10 by the first game of the season.
Yeah, as I said, you went from a team that kind of struggled to now you're a perennial playoff team. You got to go from that borderline to now you got to host a game. You got to be the team that's always in the mix for the division, so you get that home playoff game. That's the next step in the evolution for the franchise.